Talking to strangers is not dangerous. But before I tell you why that is, I'll share a few impressions of my first day here in Amsterdam with you. I was in Berlin for an air show, and you have to know that I was a huge fan of airplanes and of the United States. So I walked up to a C-54, which is a type of airplane that they used to fly the Berlin airlift after the Second World War. And there was a pilot who had flown in the Second World War, but also during the Berlin airlift, and he was sitting in front of his plane, and I walked up to him and said, "Hey, hello, my name is Shankar. I like to fly airplanes, I want to become a pilot, and I'm a huge fan of the United States. Do you have any idea how many young boys must have walked up to him saying that?" Jerry said, "Well, in about 2 months I will be in Frankfurt, so come visit me there with your mother, and if everything goes well, you might be able to visit me in Florida." If you know my mother back then, she was not really the biggest fan of the United States, let alone of soldiers and war, but I went back home, and unlike any of my expectations, she said, "Yeah, I'll go with you to Frankfurt." So we went to Frankfurt and met Jerry. He was there for some kind of Air Force convention, and he was all dressed up in his Scala uniform, and we got to know each other. And he must have made a good impression on my mom, because she did let me go. So I believe when I was 15 years old, I went to Bradenton, Florida, which is where he lived, and he took me on plane rides throughout the nation, and we spoke about war stories and plane stories all day long for 2 weeks straight. He planted that idea into my mind that I should try and become a pilot before I decided to commit for my entire life to be a commercial airliner. And lo and behold, I went back to Luxembourg, and at the age of 16, I had my private pilot's license. And this experience had given me so much, because it had given me the ability to fly, to do something that I'm very proud of, because it really tested my boundaries and it showed me what I am capable of. And I also got to spend a lot of good quality time in the United States, and I got to make up my mind whether flying airplanes was what I was going to do the rest of my life. And I decided against a commercial career, because Jerry's wife, Marge, she also told me lots of stories about being alone at home, missing him, raising children with him being absent a lot. And that was just something that I did not see for myself and my future. This bond between me and aviation and the United States was really strengthened through that man who was kind enough to invite a little boy who walked up to him and who said, "I really like airplanes."